Okay, let's be real for a second. Think about how much of your daily exhaustion just comes from wasting your energy trying to control other people's chaos. Seriously, think about it. Think about the absolute mental gymnastics you perform when someone you love makes a totally baffling decision, or a coworker completely drops the ball, or your friends go out and make plans without you. We spend so much of our one, wild, and precious life agonizing over things that, at the end of the day, we fundamentally cannot control. Well, today's explainer is going to give you a tool to get all of that wasted energy back. It's based on Mel Robbins' phenomenal concept called the let them theory. And trust me, it is absolutely going to change how you handle stress, your relationships, and most importantly, your own personal power.
To really grasp how this works, I want you to picture this exact scenario. Mel is at her son's pre-prom gathering. You've got 20 teenagers, completely decked out in these expensive tuxedos and beautiful dresses, right? And it is pouring rain outside. The kids huddle up and decide, hey, we want to go get dinner before the dance at this tiny little taco shed called Amigos right in the center of town. Now keep in mind, this place has maybe 4 tables. It's literally the size of a closet. So all the moms instantly freeze. Dozens of parents start swarming their kids, completely panicking, trying to look up sit-down reservations, stressing out about ruined sneakers and wet clothes. And Mel? She is frantically scrolling on her phone, desperate to find a pizza place that delivers.
And right in the middle of this absolute chaos, her daughter Kendall grabs her arm, looks her dead in the eye, and delivers this total truth bomb. She says, "Mom, if they want to go to a taco bar for pre-prom, let them." And when Mel tried to protest about the pouring rain and the nice shoes, Kendall just repeated it. Let them get soaked. Let them get ruined. It's their prom, not yours. Just drop it. Mel describes the physical effect of hearing those 2 words as just immediate. The tension in her body completely evaporated. I mean, why was she trying to manage a situation that really wasn't hers to manage in the first place? The relief of finally dropping the need to control everyone else's experience is just profound.
So in this explainer, we're going to unpack this whole theory in 3 quick parts. First, we'll cover the missing half. Second, navigating adult friendships. And third, motivating others.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, the missing half and the massive trap of let them.
So here's the huge twist that no one really talks about with this theory. If you only walk around muttering, let them, under your breath whenever someone annoys you, you're going to fall into a massive trap. Sure, it feels kind of good in the moment to blame others and feel morally superior, but honestly, you'll just end up isolated and super passive-aggressive. Let them is really only the first half of the equation. The absolutely crucial second step is let me. See, when you say let them, you're making a choice to not let someone else's behavior ruin your day. But when you add let me, you are taking full responsibility for what you do next. The real source of your power isn't in managing other people, it's entirely rooted in your own response.
Think of it like this. True control comes from balancing acceptance with responsibility. True control isn't about forcing the whole group to do what you want them to do. It's about accepting them. Let them, while at the exact same time taking full responsibility for where you stand. Let me. Just look at what you actually have control over. Your attitude, your boundaries, your values, and your very next move. The more you just allow people to live their own lives, the better your life is going to get, provided you are also taking action for yourself.
Okay, moving on to part 2, core lesson 1, the hard truth about adult friendships.
Let's apply this to a universal pain point, because let's be honest, adult friendship is incredibly hard. If you've ever felt like your friends are just drifting away or you suddenly realize you were left off the group chat, it hurts, it really does. But you have to understand what Mel calls the great scattering. Think back to when we were kids. Friendship was basically a group sport, right? You just naturally expected to be invited to absolutely everything. But when you hit your 20s and beyond, people just scatter. They scatter across different cities, different career timelines, different life milestones. That built-in structure that made friendship so effortless, it completely disappears. You have to learn to say let them when people start prioritizing new things and realize that it's usually not a personal attack on you, it's just life.
When an adult friendship does start to fade out, it is almost always because one of these 3 invisible pillars is suddenly missing. First, proximity. Are you physically near them enough to just bump into them naturally? Second, timing. Are you actually in the same chapter of life? Like you might spend decades with your coworkers, but if you're all in totally different life stages, making a really deep connection is just harder. And third, energy. Do you naturally click? Sometimes the energy just naturally shifts. So when people drift, let them. Don't isolate yourself or get bitter and angry. Just look objectively at the facts of these 3 pillars.
Now here is where the absolute power move of let me comes in. If you've been approaching adult friendship like a kid, meaning you're just passively expecting to be included in things, you're doing it wrong.
The let me mindset is about taking total active responsibility for creating your own community. Let me send the text. Let me organize the dinner. Let me be the one to create the book club. Stop sitting on the sidelines in judgment when people don't reach out to you. You go first. Create those connections without laying all these heavy expectations on them.
All right, that brings us to part 3, core lesson 2, how to actually motivate others. Now we're shifting to arguably the toughest application of this entire theory, watching people you genuinely love make choices that are actively hurting them. I guarantee you have someone in your mind right now. Maybe it's a spouse who absolutely refuses to exercise, a friend who keeps dating incredibly toxic people, or even a kid who just will not clean their room. You worry about them, and you think, why can't they just do this one simple thing I am asking of them? So, how do you motivate someone else to change?
Well, you can't. You fundamentally cannot do it. Adults only change when they feel like changing. It honestly doesn't matter how valid your reasons are or how massive the negative consequences are going to be. If they do not feel like it, they won't do it.
Mel actually consulted Harvard-trained psychiatrist Dr. Alok Kanoja, you might know him as Dr. K, to really understand the neuroscience behind this. And it turns out you are literally fighting human nature. First off, when you pressure someone, you strip away their feeling of control, which practically guarantees they are going to push back. Pressure just creates tension and distance. It does not create change. Second, human beings are hardwired at a biological level to move toward what feels good right now and avoid what feels painful. And change? Change is really hard and it feels painful in the moment. So pressing them to do something painful just makes them resent you. You can't motivate them, but, and this is a really big but, you can influence them.
So how do we replace all that useless nagging with actual, real psychological influence? Mel developed a brilliant framework called the ABC loop. Instead of pressuring them, you start by saying, let them. Let them make their own messy choices. Then you step into your let me power to completely change your approach using 3 very specific steps. Let's walk through exactly how you execute this in real life. Step A, apologize. You literally say, hey, I am so sorry I've been pressuring you so much about your job search. That's really not my place. Then you follow up by asking an open-ended question, something like, what are you actually hoping to find in a new role? This is a known clinical technique called motivational interviewing. It gets them talking out loud about what they actually want, which highlights the disconnect with their current behavior without you having to lecture them at all. Then, step B, back off. Just observe their behavior. And finally, step C, celebrate any progress they make, no matter how tiny it is, while you continue to model positive change yourself. And hey, if after observing them for a few months they still don't change, well, their behavior is loudly telling you that they just don't want to. And that gives you the power to decide what your own next boundary needs to be. So the absolutely crucial takeaway from today is that your let me era is officially here. It is time to stop wasting your life on things you fundamentally cannot control. Let go of the totally exhausting habit of trying to manage other people's chaos. Give people the absolute freedom to be exactly who they are, and then make bold, unapologetic moves to transform your own life. Let them judge you. Let them disapprove. Let them do whatever they are going to do. Let Ellie build a life I actually love.
If this explainer changed your perspective today, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell. We break down the most transformative insights from top books every single week to give you the actionable, real-world tools you need to reclaim your power. So, what is one area of your life where you are going to use the let them theory today? Drop it down in the comments below. I'd love to read them, and I will see you in the next explainer.